Hey, hope that everyone is doing well this afternoon. So, this is a live stream that was supposed to happen last week, but in a rarity for an online event, well, we got rained out. Um, so I
Don't
live
re-cricket
in
matter.
I live in the woods, and I have to cross a creek in order to get out to the main road. And we had some monsoon level flooding, and it completely flooded out the creek, and I couldn't get out. And I don't have good internet service at my house enough to do something like this. So anyway, we are back at it, and I can see quite a few people who are jumping in now. Good to see everyone. Uh, Also, we almost had to reschedule again today because we had another round of storms roll through, and there were tornadoes in my area as I was driving into town to get to the location where I have good internet. I could see a bunch of buildings that had some roof damage. But anyway, not here to talk about the weather. Got Erik Dorr and Matt Leitch with me. And a while back, we did a live stream where we were talking about like the ultimate bucket list tour that they were putting on. So we're going to be chatting a little bit with Erik and Matt this evening about that trip, and also maybe talking a little bit about what's to come in the future. So let me go ahead and bring these guys in. Hey, how's it going?
Hello, how's it going, JD?
Yeah,
Hey, Matt.
going good. I see that Matt Leitch is embracing the American redneck lifestyle. You got your ball cap, you're in the woods.
Yeah,
I like what I'm seeing.
my ball cap has England written on it and an
Oh,
English, just so you know.
okay.
I'm one of those typical expats that couldn't stand the country he came from, and now I'm here. I've got loads of England gear on, but I am up a mountain in North Carolina in a beautiful place outside of sort of Asheville, Weaverville way. My friends
Oh,
built
I love
a
that part of the country.
beautiful. Biltmore Estate is not too far away from here that Dick Winters used to love and ride horses in. My friend's a homesteader. He's built his own house here, and I'm kind of down here on his land, mucking about, helping out, and tweeting profusely.
Yeah, so close by is Chimney Rock.
Okay.
Did you ever watch the movie The Last of the Mohicans?
Yes.
Okay, that was filmed out at Chimney Rock.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so if you guys have a chance, I would definitely go hit that up too, because it's a cool place. But
Yeah, I'll grow my hair real long and carry a musket on my shoulder, and I'm going to get out there, man.
all right, so hey, we just finished up a series on History Traveler with the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and Erik, I know that you were at the 75th anniversary, and I was wondering if you could kind of talk a little bit about the comparison between the two, like what your experience was for the 75th versus the 80th, how it was like, how it was different.
Well, yeah, I was at the 70th anniversary as well, and I would say that the 80th was even more busy than the 75th, as surprising as that may seem. And I was with a group. I was with some veterans, with the Rifle Project with Andy Biggio, which was an amazing experience. When I went on both the 75th anniversary and the 70th, I was just by myself. I just was, I wasn't with a group. So it was a much different experience. I couldn't believe how crowded it was. When we were there for the 75th 5 years ago, everyone said this will probably be the last big event with veterans. And sure enough, at the 80th anniversary, there was even more veterans than I remembered at the 75th. So it was a really amazing experience, very busy. And, every anniversary is busy. JD and I were there the year before for the 74th doing some filming, and it was really busy then, even though there weren't nearly as many vets because it wasn't a 5 or a 10 year. But it's always an amazing experience to be there with vets. This year is the 80th anniversary of Market Garden and the Battle of the Bulge and everything else, death of Hitler and VE Day.
Yeah.
So I think there'll be a lot going on this year. I'm going to try to get over there as much as I can, depending on my schedule, just to experience it, because I really do believe this will be the last big hurrahs with some veterans. You know, the Battle of the Bulge one will probably be the last big one with any amount of vets. So
yeah, that kind of feeds into
Over
a
there.
question here. It says, was it special knowing that that it was most of the veterans' last trip there? I know that, I mean, just me personally, you could kind of feel that weight, like
Mhm.
for a young guy on D-Day. Let's say lied about his age and was over there at 17 years old. That's a 97-year-old man now. Eric, we only had one guy in the group. We had one guy in the group who was 99, and
yeah,
he was the young guy
yeah.
in the group.
And one guy
Yeah.
turned 100 while we were there, which was really amazing.
And interviewed a guy who was 106
Yeah.
while we were there. So yeah, there was it was special, knowing that this is probably going to be it. The next few anniversaries, though, there will be some who will make it. But as far as like a big gathering of the last World War II veterans, yeah, this was pretty much the last one, which is what they said about the 75th.
Right.
But I know that for me personally, there at the ceremony, it was moving seeing all of the veterans coming out, but at the same time, there was an element of sadness, because I mean, time marches on, and we don't have these guys with us for much longer.
Right. Yeah, it's a heavy weight when you think about it. Because we're also involved with World War II memory, and thinking about that is definitely tough. And I've lost so many vets in the last few years that I was really close with. So it's been tough losing these guys. When you get close to them and make friends with them, then they're gone not too long afterwards. It's very, very emotional and very, very sad, really.
Yeah. So I mean, we're kind of entering into a new phase. Like as this generation kind of fades away, it's going to enter into a new phase of storytelling and memory and remembrance and things like that, which is kind of what you guys are doing with these trips. Now you had a trip back in May,
Right.
and it was early May, because I couldn't go, which which broke my heart. And I want to pull up a little bit from the website, which is wehappyfew-gettysburgmuseum.tours, and you guys put up a few photos from the trip. So Matt, tell me a little bit about this first venture into like this epic bucket list trip.
Well, there are other companies available. There are other trips available. There are other tours available, and I've worked on other tours. But working with Erik, usually the tours are a tick list. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You go to the beaches, you go to this, you go to this site, you go to that. Erik is like an Energizer bunny, and he just will not shut down. And it's just, he wants to see everything, and he wants everyone to have a great time all the time. And I'm not, this isn't hyperbole. This is, for me, it was an incredible tour because I did it with Erik, and the amount of just passion and intensity that he wants everyone to have a great time all the time. Like, we have to drag him off the battlefield and say, fellas, the bus drivers can only be out for 12 hours a day. Erik, you've got to go back to your hotel, mate. It was an incredible experience. I mean, we went from England, so we went from Oldbourne, where the mustering areas where the guys trained in England, through down to Portsmouth. We took a night ferry across, so we landed on the beaches in the morning. We went down, which is mind-blowing. We went down into the sort of the Normandy area. We spent 4 days there, and then we followed the path of Easy Company. So we went from there, and then you go over and you do Market Garden, and then you sort of like go down into Belgium and you do the Bulge area. And then from there, it's like Hagenau, and then you do some time in Dachau, where we had a great guide for Dachau. And then you go on, and then you do the Eagle's Nest, and you sort of end in this sort of like last hurrah at the Eagle's Nest. And I have to say that I've done it at least 8 times before that particular trip. But this time with Erik and with everything that he brings, it was a completely different experience. I had to sort of remind myself I wasn't actually a guest and I was supposed to be working. But I'll give you an example of the sort of generosity of the man as well. And there is a museum at a place called the Dead Man's Corner, on which there is a wall where they put plaques and celebrate veterans. And Erik Dorr put a plaque. Floyd Talbot, if you don't know, that's who I played in Band of Brothers. Put a plaque to Floyd Talbot on it from me. It just says sponsored by Matthew Leitch. And when we opened it, and I was just dumbstruck. I was like, guys, wonderful as this is, I had nothing to do with this. This is entirely excellent, which he refused to take any credit for. So, I mean, it was 2 brilliant weeks and everyone was utterly blown away. And we still have WhatsApp groups and we still have Facebook groups and we still have email groups of guys who are just like, when's the next one? Do you know what I mean? It was just like, they didn't want to come home. So
Yeah,
hopefully I'm giving you an insight to what it was like.
I'm actually seeing some people in on the sidebar chat here who are giving their stamp of approval on the trip. Now here in the picture,
I've been seeing several people that were on that trip making comments, and it's really nice to see them on here. But yeah, thanks for those compliments, Matthew. And I was going to say the same thing about you. You are the Energizer Bunny. I mean, I don't know where you get your energy. I guess you found a lot of coffee in the morning, but these trips can be pretty tiring, and there's long bus rides in between certain areas, and Matthew keeps them going, that's for sure. and it's really great because I've been on many other tours as well, and they can get a little slow, but this tour was it was really comfortable because we had a really great bus, we had a really good bus driving team, and we had Matt to keep everybody entertained when we weren't on the battlefield, and of course we also had Ben along, who was our all the way through guide, the guy who is a guide all the time. I always say I'm not a battlefield guide. I'm just, know a little bit about history, but I'm not a true battlefield guide where I can time things properly, where Ben had it down, and he is really the unsung hero of that tour for sure. And the bus team. We had really great drivers, really great people on there, and it was just amazing. So I was really happy with it. I've done a lot of tours and with a lot of different companies, and I'm not saying it because it's my company and Matthew's company, but it was the best tour I was ever on. And I think also the guests, we had some really amazing guests on that tour. There wasn't a lot of complaining. There wasn't a lot of, miscommunication. It was just a good group of people who wanted to get out there and learn about World War II. And they were happy to be on the tour. We tried to make it as good as possible. We tried to get everybody's dietary needs in order and all that kind of stuff, because some people have those kind of situations, which is sometimes really hard to do in foreign countries. I believe, in the US, we're pretty good about those kind of things, dietary needs and things like that, mobility needs. But in Europe, they don't have that as much. But we made sure that people were taken care of eventually. We did have to tweak one of the French chefs at one time, but other than that, it went really, really well. And I couldn't be happier about how it went. It was just really cool.
And here on the screen, here's that photo of the memorial plaque at Dead Man's Corner for memory of Floyd Talbot.
Just a great day. That was just an amazing day. I was totally blown away. I might add as well that rumors of me starting a food fight in the Novotel in Bayou are totally off board. I did not do that. Just so you know.
So the picture that I just showed here a minute ago, hang on, let me go back. This one right here.
Yeah.
I'm looking, this looks like it's at Purple Heart Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fellow there in the black shirt, that's Ben, who is arguably one of the nicest people on the planet. I'm going to get to meet Ben in person this week, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, fantastic!
And I'm also seeing another YouTube personality in that photo. Who else?
And noted reprobate. Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to have some guests come out too, guest guides, if you will. Paul Woodage came out, which was really cool. He's an amazing guide, and I was really happy that he hung out with us for a while. That was an added bonus. So a lot of things happened on that trip that were unexpected, or maybe unplanned, or maybe we kept secret until the last minute. But I think it really added to it, and there was a lot of surprises, and and the other factor in this last trip, I think I have to give a shout out to the weather.
Yeah,
the weather was like some of the best weather I've ever experienced in Europe. I actually got sunburned in Normandy. That has never happened. Usually you don't even see the sun when we're there, it was there was a little bit of rain right on the first day and a little bit of rain on the last day, but we were indoors when that happened. So, a lot of times in Europe, it's raining like most of the time, or it's gray most of the time. And it was just beautiful every day. And that makes a big difference too, when you're not getting soaking wet out on the battlefield. So that was another added bonus for sure.
Exactly. So Matt, you were talking a little bit earlier about like Erik's energy and things like that. So obviously, if people watch the American Artifact series or have seen anything that we've done in the past, one of the things that we like to do is bring artifacts to the battlefield, which, I haven't been on the tours that you guys have been on. I would venture to say that's kind of a unique thing that doesn't happen very often. What does that add to the experience in your view?
Yes, it's a good question, actually, Eric. JD. It's completely different. So a lot of the guys that come touring have been on other tours before. They'll have been on short tours, or they'll have been like a 4-day tour. And like I say before, you go off and you sort of do checklists of where people feel that they need to go. But then suddenly, like, the guide will be talking, and then Erik will just sidle in next to him. Like, I don't know, you'll be near Winters' drop zone in Normandy, and Erik will just sidle up, and he has this tote bag that's about this big. This is little tote bag that is bottomless, and he'll suddenly just pull out like, this is Dick Winters' wings, and this is his beret, and this is his M1 Garand, and this is like, people are just like, where did you get that stuff from? It's incredible, and he has stuff for everywhere you go. So it doesn't matter where you go, and I don't know, you're by the Vaal River crossing, or maybe you're in Hagenau or something, and the guide's talking, and suddenly he'll just bring out this unbelievable, priceless piece of memorabilia from his incredible bottomless tote that just draws everybody in. It'll be somebody's Purple Heart, or it'll be their wings, or it'll be a New Testament they carried around, or it's people are just like, people like to see and hold and feel things and have a sort of holistic connection to stuff. And Normandy aside, which we'll come back to when we talk about, because we do have a Normandy tour coming up. Normandy aside, you can be in and around the Eindhoven area doing the market garden stuff, and it's a brand new city now. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult for people to connect to the history. Brilliant as the guides are, and you're on exactly where stuff happened, it's like, well, it doesn't really look like that now. So then you've got some like crazy dude like Erik, who's got some like amazing piece of memorabilia. You suddenly transported, that like time stops for a couple of seconds. Do you know what I mean? It's, wow, that's incredible. That was here then. This is exactly what the guide was talking about. And sometimes guides will have a map or pictures or something, and it's great, you hold it up, but to have something that you can hold in your hand, not everything you can hold in your hand. If you come on the next tour, you can't hold everything in your hand. Literally, Erik has a pair of like, well, you guys don't have snooker, but snooker referees have these white gloves, and when they touch the ball, they can put it back again so they don't get any dust or hair on it. He has these white gloves that hold these priceless pieces of memorabilia with him. And he goes from sort of place to place, clutching this tote, like as tight as he can, because everything in it's utterly priceless. So he looks a bit creepy, but it's incredible. It lends an incredible other element to touring that nobody else does because they don't have the artifacts. I mean, Erik has the stuff, and it's the real stuff. It's not some replica of it or some, you can maybe get like a printed version of someone's speech or someone's letter that they did, or a letter home, and they've copied it off the internet and they have somebody read it. This is the actual one. It's the actual one that he's got laminated or framed or something, and then he hands it to me to read out, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how much does this thing cost? It's priceless. I don't want to put it in the direct sunlight in case it catches fire or something.
Well, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier with, the fact that the veterans aren't really around anymore. I mean, when I did several of these tours over the years with vets, but vets at 100 years old, they can't handle these long tours anymore. I mean, we can still bring them sometimes to Normandy or something like that, but you can't really take them out on the battlefield and be on a regular tour at this point, whereas just 5 years ago or 7 years ago, we were still doing that. We were still bringing World War II veterans over for 7 or 14-day tours, and when the vets are gone, what do we really have? We have the accounts, we have the stories, and we have the artifacts. So it's what we have to work with now. And I think you'll see more of that since we started doing it. Really, I think the first person I saw that actually started doing that was Mark Bando, the 101st Airborne historian. He would bring artifacts back, and it just makes it. You can really just relate to what's going on a lot better if you have something like that. And then when you're standing on the spot with that artifact where it came from, it's just a much more interesting and more memorable experience. And you can take a photo with it. I let the people hold the item or whatever and take a photo on that spot. So it's great for your memory of the trip as well.
Yeah. So Erik, let me kind of flip that question. So you have the element of the tour that, of course, the tour is, rooted in place and visiting the actual locations. You have the element with the artifacts. The tether for the tour is the show Band of Brothers. So tell me a little bit about the added value of having an actor who was there during the filming plays in being included on this tour.
Well, yeah, having an actor is amazing, and I've toured with a few actors, and I think Matthew is one of the best to be on tour with, or I'll say he is the best. I don't want to put anybody else out, but he has the most energy, and he's really good with crowds and people, and he's good to talk at talking to groups. And he has that energy. And most of the people that are going on this type of tour, they're Band of Brothers fans. I mean, or else you go on some other type of a tour. I mean, these are Band of Brothers, Easy Company related tours. So most of the people were made aware, at least, of Band of Brothers by the series or the book Band of Brothers. And they've certainly seen it. And we show it on the bus in between some of our stops. So, people are fascinated with the filming and the process and the interactions with people like Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks and Damian Lewis and some of the really big names that were involved with that project. So to have an actor there talking about the way the film was made, it's another dimension of the trip, and it's how most people got there. Most people, if they're honest, they're going to say they got on or got involved with World War II memory, or at least Band of Brothers memory through that series, so it's you, JD, always call it the gateway drug. I like it. So it's a lot of our gateway drug into World War II memory and World War II history, and certainly Easy Company and Band of Brothers history. So having an actor there, especially one as knowledgeable and as good as Matthew, it's incredible. It keeps everybody going. I mean, his energy, like I said, is just amazing. It's he wears me out, that's for sure.
So I love the three-dimensional element that you guys have put together with these trips, because I mean, it's definitely a unique experience for people that they wouldn't have otherwise. How long was this trip? It was a 15 day?
13 days. It's basically
13.
2 weeks. So
Okay.
I think we do a day in England, 4 days in Normandy, a couple of days we do Market Garden, then a couple more days down in Belgium, then sort of Hagenau, Dachau, and then a couple of days. You do a couple of days around Salzburg area to do Berchtesgaden and all that business. So you've been spoken to by the end of it. You're pretty tired out by the end of it. But and then it usually takes people about a month to process it. Like they're very silent for 2 weeks, and then you start getting little blips of WhatsApp messages, and then they get more and more and more and more. People are just like, remember this, remember that, and everyone's posting about it. You remember this, and yeah, it's an incredible experience. And just going back to the point that you asked Erik about, like being an actor on these tours and everything, it's great. It's great to have that feedback from people. It's great to have people engage. It's unbelievable how much people know about the show. Like, I'll talk about it, and then there are people just interrupting me because I've got it wrong. A show, no, you're not wrong. No, you're wrong about that. That wasn't right. It's great, and people, it starts out, and we'll watch an episode, and I'll say, this happened here, and this happened there, and we actually reshot that, and this guy was like this, and this guy was like that, and then I'll throw it out to the bus and say, anyone got any questions? And no one has any questions. Dead silent. And then I'll go to the bar that night, and like one after another, people will sidle up. I didn't want to say this on the bus, but blah, 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 blah. I didn't want to say this on the bus, but this is kind of a stupid question. But and from there it starts to, people get more and more and more into it. And by the end of it, I mean, I try not to just tell endless stories of being hungover and missing days filming and things like that, because I was definitely professional. But there are some great stories, particularly to do with like Captain Dye and us being trained, and then all the stuff and how we shot stuff. There are some great stories. And I've collated them off other people because I've run a podcast as well. I get a lot of the band guys on, and I've stolen from the best. People like Neil McDonough, who played Buck Compton. He's got some great tales, and I've stolen all of those. Shane Taylor's, I've nicked all of his. Jimmy Maddio's, I've stolen all of his as well, although I think he might have stolen one of mine back. So I've got the big bag of them now that I can kind of bring out in any occasion of these stories. The people, they're like, oh wow, I never realized that. Or a lot of people want to know as well about all the bond of us together, and the fact that I'm talking to you now, and I'm answering. There's WhatsApp messages from the guys coming down now as well. So how we sort of kept that going, and that's what you learn about on the tour. I'm not going to talk about it here because I'm not giving away what we're going to sell.
Well, and I developed a Band of Brothers, or an Easy Company trivia game that we also were playing on a bus, and then we kind of made one, or Matthew made one up on the spot, which was trivia about the series. And there was a couple of people on that bus that were just absolute, whizzes. I mean, they got everything, and I was like, wow, it was like. I was blown away by that. So like there were some real Band of Brothers series authorities on that bus. It was getting every question, and it was a lot of fun. It really was.
As a history teacher yourself, JD, you must have one student, then you ask a question. It's always like, me, sir, I know the answer, me, sir. And you're like, not you. Let's try somebody else. And then you go back and they know the answer. Like we had a couple like that where I would ask a question, the hand would go up straight away. Like they knew the minutiae of stuff. And so you have to be really careful what you say, because I just used to get things wrong because I'm like old now, so my mind would go a bit funny. And they just remember absolutely, and you have to get it dead right. You know what I mean? Like telling a story to a child in a night. They know the story, but you have to tell it, and you have to tell it in a certain way that they enjoy. You know what I mean? So yeah, it does keep you on your toes when people know that much about the show.
So I saw a question that came up. I'm not really seeing them that well, but I did see one come up. One of our guests that was on this tour placed a plaque on the airborne wall in memory of Joe Toy. He just put it up on the questions. And big shout out to Barry for doing that. That was awesome. Wow. I thought about doing that because we did one a long time ago for Brad Freeman, but most of the guys that were in Easy Company have already gotten plaques. And the way you get a plaque on the airborne wall is you have to sponsor it. Someone has to sponsor it. And a lot of times family members will do that or whatever. And so Cheryl and I, a long time ago, sponsored Brad Freeman's. And I noticed, well, Floyd Talbert didn't have one. So we decided to do that one. And Joe Toy, of all people, did not have a plaque. And I thought, my gosh, he was wounded at Breakcourt Manor, and I mean, one of the most beloved soldiers in Easy Company. And I thought maybe on the next tour I would do that one as well. But Barry beat me to it. So good job, Barry.
Well done, Barry. Yeah. That's fantastic.
He just said it's an honor. So good job, Barry. He was on our tour and, one of our guests, and that's really cool. So that, hopefully, that inspired him to do that. And that's a really great thing to do. So thank you, Barry. That was good. That was cool.
Yeah. I toured with Brad Freeman, actually. We toured with Brad Freeman, didn't we, Erik? We were on the same tour. And there was a man, more energy than I did. I think he was about 96 at the time. Never snoozed on the bus. He was up dancing on a night. He was so incredible. Best looking guy on the bus as well. Still had the cheekbones and the jawline and everything. That was an absolute joy to tour with him. Incredible.
Yeah, Brad was an amazing guy. That's for sure. That's for sure. That tour was great. And I remember that last night in ZLMZ, him and Cheryl were dancing like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
And then all the other women started cutting in. They wanted.
Yeah. Gives a go.
So I guess one of the things we want to talk about is the new tour. So, we're going to do another spring tour. We don't have it completely in order yet. We don't know the exact dates. We're still kind of sorting that out, but we had such a great time. And a lot of the guests said they wanted to come on another one as soon as we do one. So we decided to launch a 7-day Normandy tour. It's called the Operation Overlord Tour, and it's going to be this October. And one of the things I found that was a little frustrating for me on the long tour is you can't get into as much detail in a single area. You have a lot of ground to cover in a small amount of time. So, normally on these tours, you're in Normandy for 2 or 3 days. And that's just not enough, especially on a Band of Brothers tour where, there was so many things I wanted to do that you just don't have enough time. So we are launching a tour this October where we're going to go more in depth into Normandy, especially for me, at least, especially into the Utah Beach sector and the airborne sector. We're going to visit some of the very rarely visited areas. So I'm really excited about that. And then Ben is going to be along, and Ben is an absolute expert on British World War II. Well, he's an expert on everything World War II. I shouldn't say that, but he really loves the British stuff. So we're gonna hit all the beaches, including the British beaches and the Canadian beaches. So we're gonna go more in depth there, which is amazing. I've been to all the beaches. I've been everywhere there, but I haven't been as in depth, but Ben really has. So we're going to have him there, which, I'm going to learn a lot as well. So we're really, really excited about this. Early October is a great time to visit Normandy because the museums and the sites are still open, but there's a lot less people there. In the summer, Normandy can be very busy with just normal tourists, not necessarily people touring for World War II memory, but people going there because, those beaches, they're beaches, and the French people use them as beaches. Sometimes it's like the first time I ever went to Normandy, I thought that was kind of strange seeing people playing volleyball on the beach and surfing and stuff like that and wind sailing. The Allies liberated those beaches so people could have those beaches and they could be free. And that's what they do there. It's sacred soil, but it's also to be enjoyed by the people that were liberated. So you get a lot of people in the summer who are there for a vacation. You get a lot of people from Paris and some of the bigger cities. So it can be kind of busy in the summer. So October is really a great time to be there. And, the weather can be iffy sometimes, but I've had really good experience in October, really good. And I took a couple of guys there several years ago as a private tour. They hired me to take them over there, and we had the best weather ever. I mean, not quite as good as the last trip we did, but it was sunny almost every day. It did rain once or twice, but it was really good. So October is a great time to go. We are going to hit all kinds of stuff, and I have a plan. Me and Ben have worked it out, and some of the sites that I want to go see or like I said, especially the 101st Airborne area, like the General Pratt crash site and General Taylor's headquarters, Holdy Battery, which was the sister battery to the Breakcourt Battery, the Crispbeck Battery, which is a huge German battery that was near the Utah Beach area, or was in the Utah Beach area, and it's made into a museum now. Hardly anybody, I don't know of any other tours that go there, and it is just amazing. So we're going to spend some quality time there. It's really fascinating to see the Atlantic Wall, and to be able to go into those bunkers. And I mean, we go to those bunkers at Point du Hoc, but these bunkers are restored and they have like mannequins in there, and it's a lot better. You can really picture the way they were in 1944 versus the ruined bunkers that most tours go to. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. Matthew, you want to chime in there? Are you frozen?
Yes.
I thought you were frozen there for a minute.
Am I frozen? No. I was just listening to you, Eric. I think okay. JD might have his microphone off.
Yeah, we lost our signal at the beginning, so I'm paranoid about like the signal dropping here. So I thought we froze up again. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't froze up. I just couldn't hear JD. I didn't think his microphone was on.
Yeah, JD, no microphone. Your microphone's off.
Say something, JD.
Uh-oh.
Have you ever been on YouTube before, JD? We can't hear you, my friend.
JD. You are muted. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Okay, looks like it's up to us, Matt.
Okay, well, we'll just carry on then. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this tour, Eric. I'm looking forward to you taking me to all these places I've never been to before.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I'm a complete history nerd as well. So all these, I honestly haven't heard half the places that you put on the itinerary. So lead the way, my friend. I'm really excited about it. Obviously, we'll talk about the show and we'll play the show as well. And we'll definitely play episodes 2 and 3. And I'll talk about all that as well. So the Breakcourt Manor stuff and Kellon Town stuff. We'll do all that, and I'll tell all my tales about that and filming about that. But I'm really, really excited to get this sort of the deep dive into Normandy that you promised me. And we're going to go inland, because I mean, Paul Woodidge always says, you spend your time on the beaches, but what's really fascinating is the stuff inland. And a lot of people and tours, they sort of like bypass that because they don't have enough time. There's so much to do in Normandy. And so most guides will say you have to have a week in Normandy if you want to do it properly. So this is the tour that we're putting together to do exactly that.
Yeah, and I'm going to drop a little teaser here too. One of the things that I'm also really looking forward to on this tour is we are going to have a guest with us who is one of the kids of one of the most beloved members of Easy Company. And they're going to be coming along, and they haven't been to Normandy for a while. So they're real excited about it, and we're really happy to be having them come along. And hopefully they can tell some stories about their dad. And I think that's always great. I know some of the other tours sometimes will do that, but this will be the first time we're going to be doing that. So really looking forward to that. And I don't know if I want to. I didn't really get permission to drop the name, but it's definitely one of the big players in Easy Company for sure. One of the biggest, actually. So I'm really, really excited about that. And whenever you have someone as a guest that has a family member who was a veteran, or especially for our tour, a Easy Company veteran, it really adds a lot to it. I mean, Matt, one of the tours we did. One of the smaller tours we had a what was it, a grandchild or something? There was a relative, but they weren't as closely connected, I don't think.
I think it's a grand niece. So
okay, that was it. Yeah. So they didn't really know, I don't think. So in this case, this is the child of one of the main guys. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, it should be incredible.
JD, we still can't hear you, man. What is up?
Sock puppet. Do some sock puppet work.
Yeah.
Can you do closed captioning? That will be useful as well. No, I'm really excited about it as well. I think it's going to be fantastic. If you want to, we'll drop all the information. I'm sure JD will into this video as well, or you can go to our website.
Yeah. So let's tell the people who are watching. I'll tell you. There's somebody saying stuff in the comments about it. JD needs this something. Anyway, so if you want to go on this tour, you need to act fast. And that's not a sales pitch. It's just because these sell out and we're getting a lot of interest. And, it's less expensive because it's not a 2-week tour. It's only a 1-week tour. And what you need to do is you need to call the Gettysburg Museum of History, and our manager, Becky, will take care of it. And the number is 717-337-2035, or you can email us, and that's probably even better because we're closed Mondays and Tuesdays. So sometimes, and we're only open 11 until 5. So you have to call during that time, or you can email, and the email is info@gettysburgmuseumofhistory.com. Now, we'll also have links in this broadcast as well, where you can go to our website. All the information's on the website, but the price is a really good price, especially for the quality that you're getting. You can do these tours really inexpensive, but you're not going to have the comfort level that we have. We have luxury buses. We stay in luxury hotels. I mean, another cool thing about this one is we're going to be in one hotel. Basically, we will be in one hotel it's actually a big chateau in France. And I've stayed there before. Matthew stayed there before. It is amazing. It is one of the best places around. And in my opinion, it's one of my favorite places to stay. It's just incredible. And they have really great food there. The grounds, you can just walk around the grounds there and explore. It's so beautiful. And so I'm real excited that we got this place to stay because it's really hard to get in there. And I was a little surprised that we were able to get it, but we're happy about that. And so the tour that you get with us, it kind of has it all. It has really good accommodations. It has really good travel. The buses are just incredible. They're large. They're roomy, and you have a crew that takes care of everything for you. I'm pretty sure it's the same on this one, but on the first tour that we did, on most tours you have one bus driver and that's it, and then they change at some point because they can only they can only drive for a certain amount of time. Well, our tours, we have 2 bus drivers, so that way we don't have to change. You have the same 2 guys the whole time. You get to know them. You get to be friends with them. And when one isn't driving, the other one's serving you tea or food. We have snacks, food, soda, alcohol on the bus. So that's really cool. And I don't know a whole lot of tours that really do that, which I just thought was great. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You don't have to worry about going out and getting bottles of water and all that stuff because it's on the bus, because it's I don't know. Like I said, it's much better than any tour I've ever been on. And, it's the price that we're offering this tour is very competitive with the other people doing it. Especially the bigger tours that are considered, more luxury tours. Our price is way less expensive than theirs. And then, the budget tours, of course, there may be some cheaper, but you're not going to get nearly the experience you're going to get with us. And, almost everybody that I've talked to, I haven't talked to everybody, but everybody was very, very happy with this tour. And we have a bunch of them on here making comments, and somebody just did a shout out to Becky here. Becky's the manager. That's who you'll talk to, who will book your tour for you if you call the museum. She takes care of everything. She has all kinds of spreadsheets and graphs and charts, and she's very good at organizing the things that Matthew and I are maybe not as good at. So she takes care of that.
Truly terrible.
But, I can still hear Matthew, but still no JD, huh? Wrap it up for me. Okay. All right.
Very good. Well,
right,
I'll
Matthew,
start.
is there anything else you want to say?
I think we've covered everything, Erik. All I'll say is I reiterate exactly what Erik's just said. I've been involved in touring for years, and for the budget, for the price, it's several $1,000s cheaper than anybody doing what we are doing for the week. And the hotel is incredible. It's called Le Raconcière in a place called Clépont, and it's got apple orchard. It's just absolutely beautiful. It's worth going there just for that. Tour with Erik, he's a phenomenon, and you're just going to see what he's got in his totes, quite frankly. And we have a lot of fun, with a lot of laughs, and we all have a beer in the evening. You just can't beat it.
And for you History Underground fans, we're gonna try to get JD to come on this at least for a couple days. I don't know, his schedule's always so crazy, but I think we might have to at least get him to make an appearance on this tour at somewhere along the way. He's laughing because he knows he can't get away, but we're gonna make it happen. Yeah. We're gonna put a plane ticket in his pocket when he comes to Gettysburg next month. So So I think it would be great to have JD come along at least for a few days if he can. And so we're going to really try to make that happen. So so JD said to wrap it up. I guess we'll wrap it up. Email us, call us, but get on this because we need to get the numbers down and everything as soon as possible. We have a lot of people already jumping on. Some of the people from the last tour are jumping on, and that says a lot. When you do a tour, a few months before, and the same people are jumping on the next one, that's pretty cool. That made me feel really good that they loved it so much they wanted to come back. I mean, it was cool. I mean, that's great, and we hope to see some of the people in the last tour on this one as well. We already had a couple people inquire, so I think that's going to happen. But I guess we'll wrap it up. We're getting closing in on the 1 hour mark and everything. So. Sorry we lost your mic, JD, but thank you for letting us do this. If you can't hear me, have a good evening. Goodbye. All right. I guess that's it. So thank you very much, JD, and see you later, Matt.
JD.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.